I think some people are genuinely scared of people being better than they are. I think that it's probably one of the biggest mistakes that we make hiring people. We hire people that are yes men that we can lord over.
What you did for me is something that you should do for all mentees, and that's, you don't just, you're responsible for this, but then people still come back to you. You actually transferred ownership and the relationships that came with that. Mm-hmm. When you put me in charge of materials and vendor management, you're like, no, he makes the decisions.
Yeah.
No, don't come to me.
The biggest thing we do in our industry, if we want to be great, man, we have to teach everybody below us to be better than we are.
A business that can't run without you is not one that's scalable, and definitely not one that's sellable.
Yes.
So you have to make sure that your mindset is right. You can't be the hero anymore. You're now in the hero creating business.
If you want to know, had you done a good job at succession planning and mentoring and creating leaders, it's when you left, they didn't miss a lick.
All right, welcome into the Kingdom Method. I'm Jeff Cox. That's Jimmy Dale. And sorry I couldn't be here last week. What a great episode with Mr. Gus Antos.
Yeah. Gus did a great job. It was funny. He kind of acted a little like, oh, I don't know about this. Then he got in there and he loved it and had a great time. So I'm sure we'll see Gus again. I'm sure he'll come back, and he's got a wealth of knowledge. We were just talking about that before the podcast. You go, well, man, I would love to ask Gus this question, that question. I said, oh yeah, he's got, we could do podcasts for days and days with Gus. Like, he's got a lot of stuff that I think he'd be happy to share with everybody.
Yeah, for a second, I thought I was going to be Drew Bledsoe and he's going to be Tom Brady. He just takes my spot, because y'all did so good and I missed it. So I hated it.
Nobody ever thought about Tom Brady started until Drew Bledsoe goes down.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it was like, hey, Drew, we're good.
No, that's what I was saying. But no, it was a great episode. Lots of great nuggets in there for people.
Yeah.
And, I haven't really got to spend a lot of time with Gus, just in passing. But it was real informative for me to get to know him a little bit of his story. So, and I've got some of his, ex-employees who've come to Berkey's and vice versa, and they always say good things about their experience there.
Yeah. No, they're a great company, and he definitely, you can see the influence of each other as we were growing up through this and talking all the time, and how are we going to do this? You can definitely you can see fingerprints on both companies of Gus and I in our relationship. Definitely, like we both say, hey, we couldn't have done it without each other, and the help that we provided each other was, and like I said, we were worried about the same thing. And that was the funny part, is this whole thing about Kingdom Method. That's like, literally, I go, Gus, this is your idea. And he was going to be the other guy, but he just didn't have enough time, unfortunately. But I want to say, though, it was funny. I talked to Gus about my faith. We were in a truck and going somewhere to lunch or something. I talked to him about it, had no idea where it's kind of like taboo to talk about your faith with someone else. But I kind of just wanted to let him know, like, hey, here's it's not just all about money for me. It's really about, like, trying to cultivate these guys and just really to, like, what this whole thing's about is really to go, hey, how do we get our religious beliefs instilled in our day-to-day life?
Yeah. And
how do we put that on the company, like, where the company can see, like, everyone can see, hey, man, whoever runs this, man, they're somebody that's of God, that is a Christian, that, really cares about not only I always care about our customers, and a lot of people do, but I said, man, I always care about the internal customers, like our people that work for us too, because I have the most impact on them. They're the people I see every day. But it's really cool to see the fruit of what's happened with Milestone and Baker Brothers, and to see, like, hey, you can definitely see that there's something of the Spirit there.
No, I totally agree, and it's unusual when you have a brotherhood like you guys had, and you were engaged all along, talking with him and him talking with you as competitors.
Yes.
Eventually.
Yeah.
He was electrical, we were plumbing, and then eventually we all got into everything.
Yeah, exactly.
And so to continue that kind of relationship is really unique, and something that can only probably be done if it's faith-led.
Yes.
Because a lot of people want to turn on each other and be competitive with each other, and it's an honest competitiveness, but you still want to beat each other, but in a very nice way.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of, and we talked about that too. And I'll be honest, as much as, like, like always consider Milestone a competitor because they do good work. Their excellence is their motive, and I think with that was the same way at Baker Brothers, but I still got hyper focused on Baker Brothers. And I used to tell everybody that all the time. I go in meetings and stuff. I said, dude, you'll probably very rarely ever hear me talk about another company.
You did.
And I want to say that I think in advertising, it's the worst thing people can do is go, well, hey, I'm Coke and I'm the best. Yeah, we're better than Pepsi. As soon as you say that,
right,
that makes me want to go drink a Pepsi and go, well, how good is Pepsi if you consider them so well, like your competitor?
Yeah.
You're talking about them. Okay, they must be. And so I've always been that way. One, not to run companies down, but also now I have talked about companies when they're doing something great.
Yes.
And I'll go, hey, over at Milestone, hey, they're doing this and it's really awesome. I think we should look at it. Hey, over at Joe's Plumbing, man, he's only a 2-truck plumbing company, but dude, I talked to him at Certain Path the other day. Oh my gosh, dude, he brought something. Could we do this? Yeah. Like that's when I brought it up, is when it was something that they were doing that was really exceptional. Because, man, just running your competition down, if you do it in the meeting, they're going to do it in the home, then you're going to have the owner calling you. Right. It's just that cycle that doesn't need, and like I said, if you're doing the best you can and you're doing the best job, you shouldn't have to talk about it. You really shouldn't talk about your competition, because you're like, hey, and to be honest, people always go, oh, you did this, I go, no, I didn't. I just did the best I could. And if you quit looking around at everyone else, you'll do that same thing. If you'll just work on your company and be the best service company you can be, man, you'll be surprised at what'll happen.
I think that drive is what you're talking about and you've always said this, and you said it last week about in the pursuit of perfection, excellence is achieved.
Yeah.
And I think that was really it. We didn't want to just do this. We wanted to be the best service experience that the customers ever had. We want to be the best service company that anyone could work for. And I think Milestone shared a similar drive in that. And I think that's what was so awesome about you. And if you had asked me early on, again, when I got there, it was an $8 million company. I thought for sure that you and Gus would have merged companies.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And maybe that's a subject for another day. But I'm like, I can't believe that didn't happen, because they're so...
Yeah, they're so closely linked in a way. But, the other part, too, is that we just have to really make sure that, like I said, that, we're just really, focused on what we're doing. And we're going to talk about, I guess, like mentorships and succession planning and some things like that today. But I'll give you all another little nugget. Okay, here's one of the things that is if you want to be the best service company, if you want to have return customers, if you want to have rabid fans that go tell other people and they go, hey, you got to use this company because it's something special, you have to do something special. Mm. And back in the day, it was putting on shoe covers. Well, guess what? Even the cable company or the disc TV or whatever, I can't believe they still exist, but those guys are still there. Yeah. They put on shoe covers. Yeah. Even the guys that, work for the, city, like utility companies, they put on shoe covers. So it's just expected. Mm-hmm. I know in Dallas it is. So the idea is like you have to do something special to be special. Mm-hmm. And the little word of wisdom I'd give you is when customers complain, stop being defensive and going, oh, that person's crazy. Oh, that guy's an a-hole. I always joked around and said, hey, you know what's great about an a-hole? They go, what? I go, they tell you exactly what's wrong. I go, I can fix something. If you tell me the problem, I can fix it. But if you don't tell me the problem, I cannot fix it. If you just go away and kind of grunt when you sign the paperwork and then get online and rip me online, I can't fix that unless I can get a hold of you somehow. But I will tell you, if you would look at every one of those opportunities as an inflection on your business, as opposed to that customer's terrible, that customer's bad, if you would go, hey, it's an inflection on my business, I need to handle all customers, not just the ones that are the nice ones and the ones that are sane. The ones that are insane, the ones that are, butt heads, whatever, the hard people to deal with, guess what? Their check cashes just like everybody else's. And I'll tell you, if you can win over some guy who's very skeptical and you win him over, all his friends know he's that way too.
That's true.
Guess what's going to happen? They come to their buddy and go, hey, if you ever use a plumbing company, you need to use Baker Brothers Plumbing. You're going to do that. Every one of those friends, I guarantee you will do it because they're going, this guy is hard to please. I had friends that we used to go, it's funny, we used to go eat And I was like, I always would like go, man, I hope I get my food before he starts complaining. So I used to joke around and go, man, I have no idea how much spit that guy ate, but it's a lot, dude. I go, because he's like, hey, fill up my glass. And you're like going, oh my God, dude, you are over the top. And I'll be honest, that guy, even we came to his house and he was like, dude, your guys did a phenomenal job. And so that was a badge of honor for me. A guy who's really hard to please, a guy who's tough on servers, a guy who has that kind of attitude. It's like, dude, y'all did a great job. So my thing was, man, we need to win over all the customers.
Yeah.
And it's okay to fire a customer. If there's just, look, I always used to tell customers, I go, hey, look, man, not everybody's made for everybody else. You know, and y'all might be, and I would give them actually good companies. I wouldn't give them my competitors I wouldn't give them to Milestone, so I'd make them suffer here, go call these guys. But I would legitimately give them good competition. Go, hey, look, man, it's not working out between us, but that's cool. Here's somebody else that I think could help you.
And we're clearly not a match.
No.
We cannot, meet your expectations. Maybe you can have better luck somewhere else.
Exactly. And I mean, but my thing was, I'll be honest, like as we got further and further down the road, we had way less of those.
We did.
Because we got to that point of going, dude, we need to figure out how to be a match for everybody. We need to figure out how we can be the best and how we can be excellent. And even that, when somebody has a list of 10 things, and I'm just telling you this, guys, if they have a list of 10 things wrong, I bet you 2 of them are right.
Yeah.
I bet you 2 things you actually did. All the other stuff was just banter to get the 2 things that they really need fixed. It was just proof y'all are terrible. But really, when we fix those 2 things, instead of just fix them, so we did this one thing where basically the guys would fix those problems. But then they didn't permanently fix the problem. They just fixed them and go, okay, we got rid of that customer off the phone next. And we started going, hey, that problem could be solved if we coach this person up. Right. If we make this system or this way of doing things, that could solve that problem where no other customer ever has that problem again. So you want to get that hard person that off the phone. Here's what you do. It's really simple. You make an empathy statement and a promise of resolution. Empathy statement being, I am so sorry you had this experience. Our company, that is way below the expectation of what our company is all about. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to get you fixed today and get everything solved today. By the end of day today, I'm going to go look into it. I'm going to investigate it. I didn't say I was wrong. I didn't say it was my fault. I said, I'm going to find out what happened because your experience isn't okay. And I said, by the end of the day, I'm going to fix it. And I made sure that it got fixed by the end of the day. And then I said, and they go, well, I don't want to get the guy in trouble. Like they don't want some guy, hey, we know where they live. They don't want you coming by there. And they go, but what was funny is when they did that, they go, hey man, I go, I'm not going to get the guy's not going to be in trouble. I go, it's going to be okay. I go, nothing will happen like that. I go, but what I want to happen is I don't want any of my other customers to ever have this experience again. So this is a learning thing for us. It's a learning thing for our technician or whoever it was that, made the offense. I said, it's a coachable moment. It's not a yell at a moment. Hey, lose your job moment. I mean, there are things that yes, would be lose your job moments. Like they stole something. Hey, they did something crazy. Like I ran my truck across the middle of their yard, didn't fix the grass, whatever. But I mean, if it's something ridiculous, yes. But at the end of the day, most of the time, these were just little adjustments we had to make. And I really encourage you guys, man, you've got to stop being defensive. You got to stop acting like that person's the one that's crazy and go, man, what did we do wrong? How did we fail this customer? And fix those things and not just fix them.
Get to the root cause.
Exactly.
Don't treat the symptom. Don't just make it go away. But let's get to the root cause that we can get better from this if we get to the root cause of this. And one thing I will add to that is you modeled that from the top down. So it wasn't just, hey, customer service people, you do this. It was everybody in the company. I remember in the early days, how you talking to customers directly. You're giving out your cell phone to people that could not be satisfied by anybody else in the building and taking those calls. So it can't just be, hey, it's a sign on the wall that we're going to care about people.
And you can't ever get where you're that important that you can't bother me with a customer issue. I mean, or an employee issue. Yeah. And that was like, something I did all the time. I gave my cell phone number to the customer. I think I never had anybody really bug me ever. I'm on TV and all that kind of stuff on the commercials. I mean, I could have people calling me all the time, I mean, whatever. But I mean,
they're your best friend, right? Once they see your name on TV, hey, I'm Jimmy Dale's best friend. You guys got to do something for me.
Exactly. I mean, but I would always give it out because I go, hey, if you ever have a problem with us again, if anything I ever can do to help, please text or call me. I'd tell them, I go, hey, I'm in a lot of meetings, so if you text me, I'll respond a little faster. And they would. They text me, and I'd just be like, hey, I'll get right on it if anything happened. But you know what's funny is most of the time nothing happened. They didn't need to call me back because the next time they called in, they got great service. The next time, great service. That's right. Great time, next service. So it's just, I think you've got to be you need to be real about what you're doing. You have to lead by example. You cannot go, you guys should do this. Don't do as I say, not as I do. Worst thing ever. So I would tell people in the call center, dude, give me your cell phone number and say, hey, if you're unsatisfied, like if you can't get them to close, go, I'll tell you what, I'm so confident that you'll be so impressed by my guys that come out there. I'll give you my cell phone number and here it is. And you can call or text me if it's not what you thought it'd be. And when someone does that, they all of a sudden go, whoa. Yeah. Wait a second. So like I said, if you want to be extraordinary, if you want to be special, if you want to be the best, you have to do special things. You can't just be putting shoe covers on and showing up in a white shirt and a wrap band. That's not going to work.
Not anymore.
And it's too competitive right now either. It's just not going to. Speaking of competitive, we just got through March Madness. And I know you're kind of the basketball dude. So what'd you think about all that?
Well, it's been interesting this year for me. This is the first year where I've been kind of on the peripheral, not just immersed in it. And I think it's because the way the business is changing for college sports. We talked about, football and what the transfer portal and NIL money has done for programs like Indiana, who I'm a fan of. It's weird that their basketball program is now behind their football program in notoriety. Never thought that would happen in my life. But this was an interesting deal because, Michigan won. That was last night when they won. And they had 5 guys from the transfer portal come over to their team. And so it's just a different day now. It's like, it's not hey, let me go recruit these high school players and we can coach them in the best talent. No, it's let me go get talent that's already out there and let me build teams a different way. And I think it's kind of ruined college sports. It's not amateur sports anymore. This is basically a league that's, preparing you for the NBA.
Guys aren't going in the draft anymore because used to they go early, right? They go through their time. They say, okay, hey, I'm going to go ahead and go in the NBA draft. They're literally staying.
Yes,
because they're getting paid.
Well, yeah, and they're getting paid more money because if the weird thing about the NBA is only 30 players each year in the draft actually make an impact on a team early on. It takes a while for some of them. So it's like, all the people playing basketball, only 30 a year can make an impact on a team. Well, now you have college programs paying these guys to stay there, and they're taking advantage of that. And I think it was evident, in this tournament. And it takes a little bit of the awesomeness away from it for me because when it's student athletes and they're out there performing, you think it's for the school, it's for the name on the front. That's what we always heard, right? Well, now it's not so much about the name on the front. And people aren't going to schools because of the history, the legacy. It's more about how much can you pay me? And if you don't pay me enough, next year I'm hopping in the portal and I'm going to get more money. So normally I'm all in on March Madness, but because the way the business has changed, I'm now on the peripheral.
Well, they had some good games. I remember in the Sweet 16, like that little segment one evening, we were with some friends and we watched a bunch of games. And man, they were all close. It was awesome because they were all close games. They were all really competitive. It's funny, the games where it gets out of control, you just kind of quit watching them. It's funny, like a couple of them too were like 2-point games until with about 10 minutes left in the second. And then all of a sudden it's a blowout. And then it's just like, it's almost like you kind of quit watching. But it was cool how many close games. And in fact, our church actually put a clip up, like our pastor, he talked about the one with, I guess it was Duke and UConn, where Duke was just trying to pass it. I mean, all they had to do is kill the clock.
Just hold the ball.
And then Duke, boom, boom, boom. Next thing you know, 3-pointer, you lose.
And Danny Hurley's a genius, right? At that point, it's like now he's going to go play for his, third championship in 4 years or whatever the case. And of course, Michigan had something to say about that. But Yeah, that's crazy right there. It's and that, the kid who did that's a star on their team, Boozer. Yeah. He's one of the twin Boozers.
Yeah.
And so it's like you prep all this time, all this season.
He's going to become a boozer now that he
a boozer.
Remember the goat of the game was the guy who screwed it up. Now the goat's the greatest of all time. Back in our day, if you got called the goat, you were the reason. You're the one that messed it up. Yeah, you're the one that messed it up. Yeah,
not the greatest of all time. No, I think that's interesting, and just the way the business has changed. Before we get into this succession planning and mentor stuff, because I think you got a great perspective here because you were a legacy, got the business from your dad, and then you sold to a PE group. I need everybody to check out my hat. I'm very happy that I got this hat, and I need everybody to say we're proud of this. But the cups are good, but they actually have water in them, and we're drinking. But the hat is next level. I like it, and hopefully,
I'm a big don't get the cheapest hat guy.
Yeah,
I hate when people go and they go, oh, we got hats for like $5. I'm like, yeah, they're probably gonna be like what a $5 hat would be like. It's the same thing if I found you a car for $12,000. Yeah, probably not gonna run much. It's gonna be kind of terrible. But it's funny you're talking about things being crazy. Man, Easter was absolutely insane at our church. Like it's always insane at every church. It's always like folding chairs out and people standing and doing whatever. But I mean, they had one of my friends came on Friday. So they had Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So they had, services on Friday. They went at Friday at 5:30 and they said they had to go into the other, like there's a secondary little chapel. It's actually a pretty good sized chapel, probably 300 or 400. They had to go over there.
The overflow.
They had the overflow. They had to go to the overflow chapel. And I was like going, are you kidding? And they go, yeah, at 5:30 on Friday. Really?
That's crazy.
And it was nuts. I mean, so there is this like kind of revolution of, young people and everything else. I mean, there's a lot of people coming to churches, and I think most churches are if they're not growing, I mean, sorry, pastors, y'all are gonna have to figure some stuff out. Like if your church isn't growing right now, because there definitely is a resurgence of people looking to Christianity and figuring out stuff and just really, coming to the faith. And so I want to say that, it's kind of like where it was kind of uncool to do and talk about. And I think now it's kind of getting into the thing of like, hey, no, this is really cool. But man, our Easter service too they did a great job all the way around on it. Great sermon. And that's one of those things that, and in fact, I think our pastor, actually he got sick on Sunday and they had to just do a recorded one because he, like my wife got sick too. There's something going around with like laryngitis and things like that, but like you can't talk. I think he got it. And then he got just like, and I was laughing because it was so busy. I saw my wife go, hey, let's just watch it online. I go, I don't want to go in there and feel good about Easter and then be all upset, like with traffic and people and just mass humanity coming in and out of that place. But it's, one of the things that we always did too, and our pastor really goes through, it's Lake Point. And if you go to Lake Point, I think it's .church or something like that, or .org.
.org, I think.
Yeah, lakepoint.org. I mean, you can see the sermon, and it's great because he kind of goes into like gruesome detail of kind of what Christ went through. And one of the things I think that is, I don't know how many times I've watched it, but the Passion of the Christ is something that I think I let my son probably look at it early. Like he was young, and man, you can't watch that and just see a, kind of a snippet of what possibly happened and not be impacted. I mean, like it's true. If you're not a believer and you're just looking at what they would do to what you just consider another human, would be just like
it's uncomfortable to watch.
Oh,
right?
So barbaric and so terrible. But to think that God did that for us is pretty crazy. And that's just something like I talked with Gus. It's like, how many people would need to be saved for it to be okay to like you to sacrifice your son. He's like, none. It didn't matter. The number is infinite.
That's why we just can't put our minds around that, right? It's that ultimate sacrifice. But the way that plays out is what you were talking about earlier with service and all this stuff, is that we're rooted in that. It's uncomfortable to watch. And frankly, most people don't watch it until this time of year, around Easter. But it is a great reminder of what he went through for us. And sometimes we take it for granted, especially if you grew up in a church. I did not grow up in a church, but my kids did. And so it's always that thing of like, oh, okay, yeah, he died on the cross for our sins. No, you understand. It was brutal what he went through before he died on the cross.
Yeah, exactly.
And that gets lost a lot of times. And I don't go to Lake Point anymore. I go to, actually, it's funny enough, I go to Milestone Church, which is, Gus's company.
I didn't know they had their own church. Is it like yellow and red?
It's not Gus. He's not the pastor.
They give you a 10% discount if you go to that church, like when they come into the house.
But, and it was packed. And it's funny because we're talking about, what Jesus went through. And it's something about getting in the parking lot of a church that's packed out afterwards. I'm trying to get in as other people are trying to get out. And then I'm trying to get out as other people are trying to get in. And you forget what he went through for us in those moments sometimes.
Yeah, I know.
Because you're like, why didn't they schedule this better? And you get onto all these little things that are inconsequential and don't matter. And I was doing that in the parking lot, and my daughter goes, hey, it's Easter.
Yeah, don't forget about why we're here.
Yeah, and so I think it's an unbelievable reminder of what maybe we take for granted on a day-to-day basis. Even those that we try to live our life to glorify him as best we can, and we will never come close, and that's why we need Jesus. But it's a great reminder to go, not just that he died on the cross, but all the things he endured before that.
Yeah, and something you said too, you're talking about the little things that bother us. And I think that's a great business lesson, is that sometimes we get so obsessed about little things that don't matter. Yeah. And I'm not a don't sweat the small stuff guy, but I am like, hey, there are small things that do make a big difference, but there's so many that don't. And I think what happens is, and I see business owners and presidents and guys running large organizations do this all the time. They're worried about something really silly. And so if you ever go talk to, if you're a smaller guy and you're at like Certain Pad Next or any kind of event where there's other contractors there, and you go up and you want to talk to like a bigger guy and go, hey, what were some of the things? Ask them this question.
Bigger as in millions, not stature.
Yeah.
They're a bigger company.
Don't ask the fat guy. I mean, because he may not know. But ask the larger company. But if you'll get the larger company, what you should ask the guy who owned it and ran it, go, what were the things that where you got in your own way? Because I want to tell you, 90% of the time, I was in my own way of the things. Oh, I won't do this and I won't do that. And hey, this bigger company does that, but that's evil when it isn't, and it's like, I mean, there are people that do stuff that is messed up. And in our industry, there are some guys out there that are bad actors that are terrible. But man, be careful of the guys that are getting paid. Be careful. I mean, we're doing this and there's no expectation of us making any money or doing anything else. We're doing this because we care about this business and we care about people.
You mean the podcast?
The podcast itself. We're not doing this for a consulting gig or money or to get commercials and be Facebook, whatever, YouTube famous. I don't care. We're not doing that. We're here because we really want to change the industry to where it's more focused on the people that work and the families, and that we understand we have an obligation to these people that are not only the families that work for us, but also the families that we're going and serving, and that we have this obligation.
Yeah.
And it's like, we lose sight of that, we're in a lot of trouble. But I want to tell these guys, man, be careful about these people that are telling you to do things that don't make sense. And it's just like if you're in church, man, they say, beware of the false prophet. Dude, if you don't agree with your pastor, it's okay. I mean, go look in the Bible, and if you go, man, I don't think that's really the way that was meant. We should always have our head on a swivel in that way. We should never, like I had a pastor one time that goes, hey, don't put me on a pedestal because I'll fall off.
Right.
And we're not supposed to worship the guy bringing the word. We're supposed to worship the word and the guy who created the word, God and Jesus. Those are the people we're supposed to worship, not the individuals. And so I think that's what happens a lot. And when you see people full of pride that have always got a camera, it's like weird. They're not, doing this with the camera. Like, we got cameras set up on tripods, but like I'm not walking through the parking lot and somebody's got a camera in front of me all the time. I mean, like, look, guys, they're paying for that, dude. Yeah, they're doing that for a reason. It's not because they care about you and they care about the industry. They're still trying to make more and more money.
What's that movie, Along Came Polly, where he's got his own crew following him around? The Philip Seymour Hoffman character. He said, "This is for my documentary, but it's not a real documentary. It's just him paying people to follow him around."
But I mean, that's the thing is, and they're not doing that for their health.
Yeah.
And so it's always like, hey man, take what they say with a grain of salt, just like you should your pastor. It's like, what do we call them? The false prophets. Be careful about, like PROFIT. Yes. I go, be careful, because so many of those guys, man, are out there and they're mouthing off and they're saying all this stuff. They got this little camera crew and a producer following them around everywhere. And to be honest, and they're in some car or they're in, a fancy office. They're like, hey, look at my new whatever. I go in a plane typically. Like I can go to Mesquite Airport out here in Texas and just hop on somebody's, hey, can I go look around in here and like film me a little short video, about
we call that
awesome.
faking the front in the old days.
Yeah, faking the front.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, be careful about that stuff, man. But talk to people one-on-one that really do just have a genuine interest on people getting better, and ask them questions and go, what was the way? How did you get in your own way? And I guarantee he'll tell you. I do like that one little dude that walks up to people and goes, hey, how'd you make your first million? I mean, he comes up to people that have nice cars and all this stuff, and he asks them questions, but it's really interesting to hear the answers. That he probably asks them 2 to 3 questions.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's what we should do. Well, and that's what Gus was great at.
Here's
Gus
another question, though.
Loved to get information.
Who have you helped make rich? Not just you got the money for yourself, but who did you share it with? Who did you help teach and mentor as we get into this? That then they could go earn their own money based on what you taught them or what you gave them to the platform to jump off of. And I think if you look around and all these guys are touting their own money, it's like, did the company make money? Did other people in the company make money? I mean, that's really what it's all about, is giving back. And as we approach this mentor-mentee succession planning topic, it's really with that in mind. It's like, who are you making better, as we talked about coaching with Bubba?
Yeah.
But now this is another level of that. Like, who am I going to invite in and share all of this knowledge with? And sometimes it's a family member, sometimes it's not.
Yeah.
And one thing that I can attest to is you taught me every area of the business. Now, I probably was nipping at your heels with drive and want to, and that's what you have to have. But you didn't have to you didn't have to let me into a lot of these conversations. You didn't have to let me into every side of the business. But the way you did it with me was very methodical, and the way I learned it was the exact order I should have learned it. And you can go back and listen to our stories on the first podcast. You can hear my story. I don't want to get into it again. But just learning every piece of the business and then putting that puzzle together. Now, sometimes I came on a little too strong as an early leader. Yeah. Like, hey, why does everybody suck? Let's get better type thing. But that's the thing is, who are you making better? Who's getting rich with you?
Yeah.
Right.
And that's something else too, is like, even in what I'm doing now, there's Robert Paulson, who's young leader, up and coming, really bright guy, has a law degree, whole nine, and he's really brilliant. But is that same thing? I mean, he did that same thing you're doing, like where he's like, dude, like he wants to push too hard.
Give me more. Yeah.
And then it's that, but it's that, like, even just locking in on him is a mentorship. I have another lady, Caitlin, locking in on her as a mentorship of somebody, hey, that I can mentor and help to get better. And like seeing what Robert's like, some wonders why sometimes the people that he's trying to lead, like, they struggle. And it's, well, yeah, but how did you come to them? What did you say? How did you say it? So it's these little things in leadership of just little corrective things like that you can talk and go. I mean, I literally went and talked to some guys, we went to Houston and talked to these guys and go, and after I'd done it, I go, how do you think they felt Like that. I mean, we could have been down there watching them, big brothering them and go, how do they feel? And so it was like, well, man, they were kind of energized to go, no, we want to leave them motivated, energized to go do whatever they're going to go do. Now, by the same token, I told them, I was like, and if people aren't doing what they're supposed to, dude, we got a problem. Like, hey, it's okay for us to go, hey, we did everything we could, but they're not coming along. But, and I think that's another thing too with mentorship. If it goes, everybody only can go so far. So you may get to a mentorship that just makes them really good at their current job, and that's all that they want. That makes them really happy and fulfilled. And you have some guys that are like, hey man, I just want to go further, and I want to go further, and I want to know more, and I want to know more. And we need to teach them
into it. Yeah, exactly.
And so I think what people forget is that they forget that they may look for mentorships. Which I think is another thing, like I said, a mistake that people make is they don't find their own mentors.
That's right.
Like, business coaches, whoever, read books. I don't care. Love an author and then just go do everything he says to do. But find a mentorship of your own, because you as the older guy in the business need to be getting better and better and better. Mm-hmm. And then you need to be grabbing mentorships and then trying to help those people, because, I'm going to tell you, you'll be so proud of them like 3 years later when you see them killing it. You're going to be so proud. I think some people are genuinely scared of people being better than they are. I think that it's probably one of the biggest mistakes that we make hiring people is we hire people that are yes men that we can lord over. And that's dumb. If you want to do that, then you're going to always be a B company. You'll never be an A company. You'll be a B company. If you want to be great, what you have to do is grab people that you go, dude, this guy may be smarter than I am. This guy may be better than I am, and be okay with that, and you'll still Bubba was way better at public speaking than I am, like 1,000 times better, and I was, more than happy to step aside because you're better than this than I am. Yeah, 1 or 10% do this and talk to these guys. But I think, there's stuff in our industry about motivation, not only just doing systems and processes, but how do you motivate people? How do you lead people? How do you get people to follow you? Mm-hmm. And do it not because you're the manager or, hey, I'm the president, you're going to do what I say. You want to do it because it's the right thing to do. And you would run through a brick wall for me because I've done a lot for you. I try to help you.
Yeah, you want to inspire them to want to, not have to.
Yeah.
We're not in the motivating business. We're in the inspiring business. And if I can inspire you to want to do this for these reasons, then you're going to follow me up the hill, over the hill, wherever we're going.
And so but you need to be intentional about it. You need to find people, not just in our industry. You need to find, you just don't move. Okay, this guy was a plumber. Dude, if a guy was a plumber and he moved up to a manager and then he moved up to the next level, hey man, more power to him. Awesome. But I found people where they were at and go, hey, that dude's really smart. That dude's a winner. And they had nothing to do with our industry. Like you didn't, Bubba didn't, but I brought him in. But Craig did. Craig's number 2 at Baker Brothers now. Yeah. And he's there because he's good. He's not there because, he worked here forever, or, hey, he was a young guy. Oh, he's actually my brother-in-law.
There's a joke.
He didn't.
The number 2 and the number 2 business. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Just kidding, Craig. Yeah. All
right. but the idea is that Craig did it through being a technician all the way up into being like pathways. A senior vice president. And then you guys came from other places and we brought you into this and said, hey, let's learn this. Yeah. So I think this mentorship thing it could be someone internal, external, however you want to do it. We kind of talked about, if we want to talk about succession planning, one of the oldest ways, the way I did it and a lot of other people, was basically through the family, right?
It's legacy.
It was legacy. And, one of my friends is a car dealer, and he's actually 4th generation car dealer.
Wow.
He said back at the beginning of his great granddad or whatever, his great dad, I don't know, whatever. He said he literally goes, we had to assemble the cars. It was like, hey, the axles came, the body came, the chassis came. They had to put all that together there at the dealership. So, but what was funny is I had another old car dealer, and he goes, man, you know what they call the car dealer's son that takes over? And I go, what? He goes, a slow leak. He basically says, hey, because the kid takes over.
Yeah.
But think about that. Why is that? because he was almost given this responsibility. He didn't earn that responsibility. Probably wasn't mentored.
Yeah.
Probably the dad really didn't mentor him in a way. That was one of the things I talked about, Tyner, my son, in Recreate was I said, man, probably the worst thing about this whole thing for you is that you're my son.
Yeah.
I think people literally they think, oh, well, he's, not as smart or not as good, or this guy, dad just gave you a bunch of money to go do this or something like that. Hey, go do this, get him. I go, no. That kid got mentored from the time he was little. When he was playing football, I was like, hey, you know what football is? Football is to prepare you for real life and business.
That's right.
Football and what you're going to do, you're going to hang your cleats up.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are. I don't care if you go pro. You're going to hang those up. But did it teach you how to overcome things in real life, at work, at business, and everything else? So his whole growing up, my daughter's growing up, there was a mentorship there going on that was very, very planned out. Not just like, well, let's just get through life today. It's like, hey, you guys need to learn to overcome. Yeah, from me to them.
Yeah.
So the same thing. Now here, all of a sudden, here comes your son into this company. You naturally put him in some position that he probably, to be honest, doesn't probably, or daughter, and doesn't deserve to be in, but you go ahead and put him in there, and then they just work there and everybody's like rolling their eyes like, oh, there's the kid, and it's like, we as parents have to mentor that child, the children, my family member, whoever it is. So if this is going to be the guy that's going to come and take your position and you're going to sell that to them, or whatever, cool, but mentor them and make them great.
Yeah, just last name doesn't mean you're entitled to it. You got to earn it.
Yeah, like the guys from Brothers, like in Colorado, he had 2 daughters, and I remember him going, man, I wish I could take off like a month or 6 weeks. I'm like, dude, you probably have 2 of the smartest people in this whole thing.
Yeah,
I mean, they're like the two of the kids that are brilliant, who, by the way, that he mentored and showed them and brought them up in this business. Not like, oh, hey, you're my daughters, here's the keys to the castle. It was like, hey, you're going to earn this and you're going to work for this. And hey, I'm going to make you do some things that you probably wouldn't wonder if you should even be here at a point.
Yeah.
But both of them are just great at what they do and really brilliant. And that's just kind of what we have to do. So I want you guys out there that are really thinking about, if you probably haven't sold to P at this point, that's probably one of the main reasons, because you have these kids and your family that you want to hand this off to them. And so I literally did that with my dad. And I'm going to tell you one of the things I want you guys to think about. And a lot of you guys I've talked to, they've heard this before. I said, my dad was like, hey, look, Jimmy, I'm cool with you. Here's the amount of money. I'm cool with you paying me out. You just pay me out.
Well, because you had designs to take it to another level, and maybe he didn't, or maybe he didn't share that. Or
what led to it was we both were trying to grow. Mm-hmm. Well, Dad got, in his 60s, and he had more than he ever thought he'd had, and he was like really good. And he just was like, hey, I want to flatten out. Like, this is too risky. Mm-hmm. This is getting risky. And I was like, Dad, what happened was I still wanted to grow and he was wanting to flatten out. So, right. And to be honest, most guys that are in their 60s, that's what they want to do. Yeah. Hey, I'm really happy where I'm at. I don't want to push harder. And so when we didn't have the same goals anymore, then that made sense.
At a crossroads, what are we going to do? Right.
And literally we had a PE group offer him money for it then. And he got a number and he goes, I want to sell it for this. And we were down the road with a PE company. We had an LOI, that we're about to sign and we're negotiating. And he just made the decision. He goes, I think I just want to sell it to you. And I was like, whatever you want to do, Dad. And so once that happened, a thought came in my mind as well, though. I'll let you pay it out. I go, every day that I go to work, I'm making a decision for his retirement. Mm-hmm. His 38 years that he put in, every day that I go and make a decision, I'm either losing or securing his retirement.
A lot of stress.
I go, I'm much better. Let me go to a bank and let's go get the loan and let me hand you a check. Yeah. And you walk away with your retirement. You're not worried, like, am I going to pay? Yeah. You're going to go, and your son doesn't pay you a couple months. You're going to go in there and, bring Tony and Guido in there and say, hey,
Maybe so.
Pay up, buddy. I'm going to break your legs, whatever. But I mean, at the end of the day, he worked those 38 years. He needs to walk away with his check. He could have walked away with his check at the PE group. He needs to have his check. So what I'll tell you is, as diligent as I went to work, the day that I had it was a $5.75 million business. And the day that I added on an extra $28,500 payment, cash out.
Yeah.
Dude, I went to work a little different the next day. And then I was like, hey, we got to grow. We got to do smart things. Hey, we got to grind. We got to work hard. And I did. And so what happened was, but you have to realize, dude, he deserves that. That's what he needs to do. And if your kid has skin in his game, no matter how hard they work, I worked really hard. I went to work harder because, man, it was all of a sudden now it's my family. And I'd be the guy at 36 years old, filing bankruptcy or doing whatever. So this was serious. Yeah. So I think what happens is you took that kid from being a kid to going, hey, okay, dad's not here anymore. The net's gone away. I'm on the tightrope.
Well, pause there for a second because your dad you've been going to work with your dad since a little kid. So he was investing in you. He was mentoring you. Hey, this is how you do this. It wasn't just like, hey, I want to flatten out. Hey, I want to grow. All of the years poured into you.
Yeah.
He was mentoring you for that point. And you said earlier in your story that you were only going to work there for 2 years and then go do your own thing. But now the situation's a little bit different. But he was mentoring you all along. It wasn't just here's the keys to the kingdom, Jimmy. Pay me money. It was a mentorship.
Yeah, and he did that too. And I want to say that like the reason for this podcast and all that I'm saying about employees. That was seeds he planted when we only had like 6 or 7 trucks. And I go, Dad, if we did 10, man, we do this much money every month. And he goes, Jimmy, we don't have just obligation, to ourselves and our financial what we want. He goes, there's responsibility for all these families. And there's 7 of them. And he goes, that's probably, 21, 25 people that we are responsible for. So he's the guy who said that led to this podcast and things like it and the things that we did a certain path and everything that happened. That was a seed he planted that and things he said that helped me along. And everybody's like, oh, your dad got out of the way. No. That's not right.
Yeah.
My dad and I were growing the business and we were doing really good. And, he decided like, hey man, I'm kind of done with that chase and putting myself out there that much. And so it was very calculated, but I want to tell these guys, you've got to have your kids put some skin in the game. They need to like have the net away from the tightrope. They need to be walking the tightrope. Like if I fall off, this is death, not okay, I'm gonna fall and dad's gonna catch me.
Yeah.
And I said, so I will say this, if they can't afford to do the whole thing, they need to do part of it. And they need to have their family, their bank or whoever, they need to have something on the line here besides just, oh, I've got a free note with dad that I got to pay off. That's not okay.
That's much better because now it's on them, whether it fails or succeed, and you're not messing with your dad's retirement. I think I came into the picture with you after that had happened at Baker. And so I think at the time you were talking about, hey, I'm not sure what my kids might want to do. And so when you talk about the difference between mentorship and succession planning, it's like, hey, I'm going to mentor people and maybe see who leans into it. And then maybe I've got to pick the people that have, the right character, the right ability to make decisions. They take accountability for the decisions that they make. And I'm going to pour into these people. And then maybe out of the 3 or 4 people that I'm mentoring, there's one that rises up for succession planning because in your situation, you asked your family, who wants to take over this business? And it was like, hey, I think we want to create our own businesses.
Well,
tell us about that story.
Well, they were kids, and so I'd been running the business, and man, things are going really well, and man, we're growing. The first year out of the gate, we grew 38.5%. Then we were growing 25 to 30% year over year for a while. And so, we're further down the road, and the kids are like, well, hey, Dad, how are we going to be, involved in Baker Brothers or whatever? How are we can we take over Baker Brothers? I go, man, if y'all want to do that, that's great, man. I think it's an awesome idea. It's going to be really expensive. We don't have to buy it. I go, y'all can do just like I did. You'll buy it for me and you'll make payments to the bank. I go, that's awesome. I go, I think it's a great idea. Well, then they were just like, well, I mean, neither of my children really got into the trades or did anything like that. I mean, I remember my son when he was in, he went to Colorado School of Mines for football. Well, he went there and the coach was in there. He goes, hey, so what are you going to major in? And he was asking me what I did. And I was like, well, I'm a master plumber. I'm like, fourth generation master plumber. And,
and a degree in business.
Yeah. And degree in business. But I go, yeah, but I have a company. Here's what I do. And he goes, well, what do you want to do, son? And he goes, I don't know, maybe computer engineering. I go, maybe pipeline engineering? And the coach goes, no. And I thought it was a great path that he should take. Yeah. But anyway, they definitely didn't have that. But, so just moving forward, it's like, at the end of the day, man, I wasn't so just clairvoyant to know when we're grinding away in there. But I did know that I wanted everyone that worked there to be better leaders. Roger just talked about, I think it was 13 years ago, he had someone on his Facebook, Roger Frozini, who does the HVAC at Baker Brothers. So Roger came to work and had a small family business, and he came to work, with us and said, hey, man, his dad was in his 80s and still working. And Roger goes, man, we're getting smaller, and man, we're not doing anything new. And man, it's not enough for all three families. There's three families involved. And he goes, man, there's just not enough for us here. Mm-hmm. And so he stepped out to do something different. And he came to work with us. And I think you actually got that little meeting set up. And so when we got Roger in, that was 13 years ago, I guess. He showed a picture of our first truck.
I remember when the first truck rolled out.
Yeah. And I told Roger how proud I was of him and what he's done and what he's accomplished. And man, Roger, Baker Brothers, what I always wanted was Baker Brothers and the fact that you worked there to change your life, where you go, no matter what, because you're not going to work everywhere forever. But I wanted you to look back and go, you know what, man, thank goodness for working there. Like when I worked there, I learned this, or I did that, or I got better. And I was telling Roger about how proud I was of him and his team. And man, he just, they did a great job. And Roger is not your he's not your prototypical, today manager.
Yeah.
But he gets it done. And Roger, from when he started, 13 years ago till today has definitely been impacted and definitely, his temper. Remember, he used to come and go, well, we let two technicians go today.
They wouldn't do it.
And everybody was like, oh my gosh. Yeah. But he did, it's not that he softened. He just got better at what he did and understood that, hey, there's a way to do this that's less
abrasive,
or painful, or just it just creates a lot of drama, whatever it is. But he goes, hey, there's a way. And he started, and he's got better and better and better, and like I said, none of us are perfect, but then there's also guys that just get to a certain point, man, and you're mentoring these guys. It's like, this is where they're going to be.
Well, and
not all of us can be NBA basketball players, but
right. But that's the difference, right? Mentorship and succession planning is different. But I think if you didn't change your mindset to allow us to do that, like if you shifted from managing us to mentoring us, so you had to move from problem solver to coach. You had to stop being the hero and teaching us how to be the hero was the agenda. And I think that had to be a mindset shift for you because, okay, my kids aren't going to inherit the business or enter the business. So let me get these guys ready. And I don't know if this was your intentionality or not, because you put me together with Roger to launch HVAC, and I thought I came on strong. And then I met Roger and realized, oh my gosh, he's coming on real strong. And I thought maybe he did that to teach me a lesson to go, hey, you need to chill out. But Roger knew what he wanted and was aggressive in seeking it. Yeah. And anybody who got in the way wasn't part of the solution. And that's how I kind of started.
Roger was older than us too.
Yeah, so, that's true.
When you go, hey, look, I'm only going to work for this much longer. You may have a little different, way you do it too. But he's
way different now, and it's unbelievable the change that he's made. So shout out to Roger.
Yeah, and he's helping, like, he's helped Berkey's, like,
Yeah.
when they, y'all had some management shifting around over there. Dude, Roger was over there. Man, he enjoyed it. It was funny. Like, I don't know that 10 years ago, if you said, hey, you want to go help this other company and help these guys out.
Yeah.
But he actually gets fulfillment in passing on some of his knowledge to someone else. So I think that's the other part about, it's like anything. When you go, hey, be generous and give, you start to do it and you realize, man, I get a lot more out of it than I do. Like I'm giving them something, like, but then a lot of times you find out how much blessed you got. You go on a little mission trip, you find out, oh, I'm going to go help these poor people in Mexico. And then you come back going, wow, those poor people in Mexico helped me way more than I helped them. And you start to realize that. And I think Roger did that too. I mean, he's starting to realize, like, man, these people that he's built up, some of these guys that today are out doing different things, not at Baker Brothers, but man, he was a big part of that in their lives, about them getting it done.
It starts with an intentionality, though, on your part. There's never a right time to succession plan, or most people wait too long before they actually go in to build a succession plan, right? So what you did was intentional, and you didn't do it just with one person. Like I said, you showed me the business. Okay, well, we brought Bubba in, and you showed him the business. Roger, the Craig, all these guys that we talked about. It was okay. I can do this, or I cannot do this from your standpoint. So the plan has to be intentional, has to be thought out. And so putting me and Roger together, and the times we butted heads, and I think it was like 2.5 years into it, I said, hey, I'm gonna have to let him go and let him do his thing, because I don't want this to be a restrictive thing. Yeah. Right? And it's time for him to fly type of situation. But I think that if you're not intentional about the way those things happened, then that doesn't happen. And Roger's life's not changed, and my life's not changed, and Bubba's life is not changed. So I think that's what I really want to kind of hone in on here is there's never a right time, but when the moment's there, you have to seize it. Mm-hmm. And then you have to create a plan, because what you did for me is something that you should do for all mentees. And that's, you don't just, okay, you're responsible for this, but then people still come back to you. You actually transferred ownership and the relationships that came with that. Mm-hmm. When you put me in charge of materials and vendor management, you're like, no, he makes the decisions.
Yeah.
No, you don't come to me.
It's a huge mistake.
Yeah.
In our industry that I make this guy the guy, and then they come to me, and then I supersede that guy.
Cut his legs out from under.
Exactly. And I told everybody, I said, dude, if you don't agree, if someone is like when Craig, if he was over, at the time he was vice president of plumbing, he was over plumbing. If one of the plumbers came to me and said, well, Craig won't let me do this, I need to do it. I mean, if I agreed with the guy, if I did that to Craig, I mean, that just castrates that. Now he doesn't even matter. Right. Because now I can just go above him and go talk to the boss, and he'll get it done for me. It's like that can't happen. And that's a hard thing to do, because you know the answer, the right answer. And this guy may not be, I'm not saying Craig was, but there were times, we don't see eye to eye. And it's like, well, then I got to go back to Craig and talk to him. And it's okay for Craig to change his mind if he wants to. But I cannot go reach down and do that. I can't go to the vendors and say, if I really wanted you to take the vendors, I can't let them come to me, because if they come to me, then you don't even matter. Yeah, and you're like, you're kind of the fake vendor manager at that point. You're not the real one, and then it's like, well, we'll just go to Jimmy. And then if I supersede that, I can go talk to you about what we're going to do. And then if you decide that that's the best way to go, then that's different. And then you go tell the vendor, here's what I've planned on doing.
But that transition has to be thought out. You didn't just start with, okay, Jeff's this now. You brought me into these high-level conversations. You brought me into the meetings. You introduced those people to me
people don't
before
show,
I was the guy.
But people don't want to show everything. They don't want to show, like, they don't want to show the P&L.
Yeah.
Dude, anyone who asked for the P&L at our company could have got it.
That's true.
I mean, anybody, because it was open. I'm not hiding anything in this P&L. Right. Look, we need to look at it. We need to figure it out. Y'all need to figure it out. The problem is when it's a black box for everybody who works for you, like, how EBITDA works, but no one else that's in your management team knows how it works. That's a big problem, man. Everyone needs to understand. Everyone needs to know. And it's funny too. Like it's one of those things, like I said, you need to make yourself better and better and better. Well, in a way, in these mentorships, it's kind of like homeschooling. I was talking to people, like homeschooling come a long way, but I was talking to homeschooling back in the day. And what I used to have a problem with it was the kid can only be as smart as me. So that means that, see, I'm your only source of finding anything out. And if I'm really bad at English, you're probably going to be, if you're even naturally good at it, you're probably going to be not that great, So what they do now in homeschooling is they take these people that come in to do physics, to do calculus, to do these things that are outside, above and beyond, and they kind of have these co-ops and do these other things. So I'd highly recommend for you in your mentorship to like expose your people to places like Certain Path, where they have speakers come in that talk. I think Gus and Bubba are both going to talk at this one this week. I'm sorry, it's probably going to be last week after we put this out, but whatever. But you go take them to places where they can learn from other people.
Right.
You go take them to you bring people in, like, Tom, that was our business coach, you bring in Nikki Nemiroff,
yeah.
You bring those guys in to teach them stuff that you don't even know, that you're learning yourself, but you expose them to other leadership and other people to mentor them. So I think, it's funny. Some of the guys are like, oh man, I've got this, 90-day program that's a leadership program, and I give you a certificate. And I'm like, okay, 90 days. I mean, for as long as you work here, I'm going to try to do everything I can to make you better and make the people under you better, and then make the people under them better. And I think we talked about this on the podcast before, that Bubba used to have a management open to anyone at Baker Brothers
training.
And he'd do it for like 6 to 8 weeks,
right.
7 a.m. on Tuesdays or whatever. Man, he had a full class every single time. And we also saw people that had the want to, that really wanted to step up and do something extra. And I bet you almost all those people that were in those programs later on became managers, because they had that want to be a leader. They wanted to learn how to do it. And so it's those things of, man, how do you leverage what you know and share it with the other people? Because I do feel like a lot of times I sometimes give advice that no one asked for, but I think that's the worst thing you can possibly do. It's like
I'm guilty as well.
But that's because I like to teach people. Mm-hmm. I want people to understand. I want people to know. I want them to get better by learning. It's to me the biggest thing we do in our industry. If we want to be great, man, we have to teach everybody below us to be better than we are. And as soon as we start doing stuff like that, where they become smarter, they know how to do it, man, we've got a chance. We've got a really good chance at winning, because, man, everybody's on the same page. Everybody is in alignment. They all know from the top to the bottom what expectation is. And so I think one of the things as a mentor, what you need is clarity of vision. Your vision needs to be clear, crystal clear to everyone under you. And if it's not, people are not going to go the right direction.
Well, I think this is important. That's so key, because most people think, well, I'm the guy that makes this thing go. I'm the owner. I'm the guy that all the answers come from me. And they wait too long. They don't build systems up that are not dependent on one person. This is what I'll say, and I don't know where I heard this, but a business that can't run without you is not one that's scalable, and definitely not one that's sellable.
Yes.
So you have to make sure that your mindset is right. You can't be the hero anymore. You're now in the hero creating business, right? And so for me, that's the mindset. It's got to be that. Mentees have a responsibility to their mentor as well, and we have so much to get into. I don't know how you want to do this, because we're at an hour right now, and there's so much here. I don't know if we should continue this over to next time, recap this, and then maybe get into more of this, because we haven't even talked about from the PE side of things.
Yeah.
There's just so much. How do you want to move forward?
Yeah, we can just keep going, and then we'll wrap it up here in about 15, just so it's not too long. But you're right. I mean, there is, you have to be open to learn.
Yeah.
You have to be, I think a big one that just naturally has to happen is you have to have respect for the mentor. As a mentee, I need to have respect for the mentor. I need to go, okay, hey, this guy's doing something that is something I want to be a part of.
Not just using them.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's an alignment there of beliefs. Like the mentor and the mentee, they need to believe at least the baseline of the same thing. And I think that's one of the things that we all shared at Baker Brothers, no matter how vastly different all of us were. Because we were. I mean, Kim Hernandez was different than Roger, than Craig. Everybody shared some traits, but we were different in a way. But I will say that we all love to win. That was a commonality. Hey, we were all Christian people. We all wanted to do the right thing. We all wanted people to feel the right way. We all wanted to be the best by the people that not only worked for us, but the people we served. And I think that alignment was something that helped those mentorships and help people go, okay, because you can't fake. You just and this is just, guys, I want to tell y'all this. Just be who you are. Don't try to be someone else to your team. Don't try to be some guy that, I really care about everybody, when you don't. And it's cool, man. If you're all sales driven, you're just money driven, then be Wolves of Wall Street, man. Be sales money driven. Just be like, hey, man, we're going to go out there and, snap necks and cash checks, whatever you want to do. But I mean, don't be who you're not.
And they're out there. They're out there.
No, they are. And I mean, it's just like, be you, dude. Don't put don't be a driven, sales driven, just close it or die. Hey, they could call the cops on me or whatever and think that's awesome. Don't be that guy and try to be we got integrity and this is our, core value and, faith. I mean, don't be that.
And then
that's
in the shady areas,
fake.
yeah.
I mean, it's fake. Just be who you are. And you can take any industry, any business, and just be who you are. Get people around you that are aligned to whatever goals you want to do, and man, go chase them and go get it done. And then as you see things, what happens is you'll see that people like to follow people that win. It's just the way it is. Like if we didn't win all the time, I mean, you'd be gone. If we kept saying we're going to do something, and just for instance, just say we kept going, hey, we're going to do this, and we never did it. And then we're going to do it, and we never did it. And then we never did it. And then we were flat for 3 years in a row. I don't think you'd have been there still.
Are you trying to trigger me? Because there's a lot of this I don't want to touch right now, just to be honest with you, because I think it's very important for us to be who we say we are.
Yeah.
And if we can't be excellence or do it a way that's above reproach, I don't want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what you're saying. And I think that for me, it's exactly that. And for a lot of people, it's that. I mean, this generation behind us is even more about being a part of something bigger than themselves. A purpose, not how much money I make, not I want to grind and work 60 to 80 hours to make this happen. That's part of it. But it's what am I a part of? What's the purpose?
And I'll tell you, people now, the young guys, they will work hard for the right purpose. People go, they don't want to work and they don't. Yeah, I mean, they don't want to work 80 hours. I mean, really, to be honest, no one should want to work 80 hours.
Not anymore.
But I will tell you this, they'll do it for the right purpose.
That's right.
If there's something like, if I had to call a bunch of guys and go, hey, this lady's sewer system's out, her house is completely shut down and we need to work all night to get it back on, I bet you those guys all volunteer to go ahead and miss that night with their families to get that done, because there's a purpose that's bigger than them that means something. Yeah. And I think that's what we all have to have. And I said, like, if your purpose is even what I might consider wrong or not agree with, do get people around you that agree with your purpose and then go chase your purpose.
That's right.
And don't let people, and I'll be honest, like a lot of you guys, y'all work for PE groups and all this other stuff. And there's y'all are out there, and it's just like, man, no one can dictate you and your joy.
That's right.
They can try to, but they really can't.
You got to give them that power.
Yes, you gave it to them. Yeah. No boss that's out there can dictate your joy. You come and you do your thing, and man, you live out your belief system right there in front of everybody. And dude, and I'm going to tell you, I'll be honest, like the wrench group guys, man, when they just never bothered us. When we hit all our numbers,
that's right.
They didn't care. Like they don't want to get on a call for like an hour either. Like, I mean, they would much rather just go, hey, good job, guys. Yeah. Thank you. And bye. But I'll be honest, like that's kind of the thing is you just always have to understand that you always have complete control over your joy and don't let anybody dictate or take that away. And they can't unless you allow them. They really can't. And if you want to go and you take your team and you want to be the best at what you do, then man, you go out and be the best at because you can't control everything around you and your complete environment, but you can control your team. you can control the way what we're going to do and how we're going to do things.
That's right.
And like I said, I think it's the best advice I can give anybody in a situation is, man, control your own joy and do what you can at the best way you can. And I'll tell you, it'll work out 9 times out of 10. You'll be happy and everything will be fine. And the other part too is when people see that and see, man, I mean, like, it's like you can see and feel
That's right.
that, hey, we had fun at work and we won. And remember when the wrench consultant guys came in and they go, like, they were just the contractors, and they go, dude, you guys are a bunch of goofballs. Y'all are here laughing in meetings and goofing around and having fun and all this stuff. And I said, and he goes, but about 2 months later, y'all did this faster than y'all executed faster than anybody we've ever worked with. And I said, well, come to the meetings when we don't win. And no one wants those so bad that they'll do anything that those don't happen, because it was not fun. If we didn't win as a group, we were so attuned to getting things done and winning and executing. If we didn't, we were all upset. It wasn't that thing where I had to be the person to be mad.
And we weren't all getting along when we were losing. No, it was like, we're all in the solve problem mode, but we weren't happy about it.
Yeah, but man, you need to pick it up, or hey, you got to do this. And man, it was throwing shade on each other, and from laughing and cutting up and saying how great a job the other person did to the complete opposite of like, hey, with facts, pick it up.
With facts, not just accusing, right?
No, data. Like, hey, your average ticket's 35% off. So that's what I just encourage you guys to do is like, man, just understand that, dude, you have this control that you have it. Just don't give it up.
And what you can't control, you might be able to influence. And then whatever's outside the building, you don't really need to worry about. It's just, let me control what I control, influence what I can influence, and let the rest be.
What's the part of that serenity prayer? There's a part of it that it says.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah, pretty much going, hey, let me have the wisdom to understand that I don't control everything. And that, when I do, that I can get it done at a high level. I'm not quoting it by any means, but it's that.
Put it up during that podcast.
It's that construct. But it's really that what we have to do is like, you need to bring people up. And you need to be doing that constantly, and because you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And so I will tell you this: I didn't know I was going to sell. I didn't know. I didn't look out into the future and go, "Hey, I'm going to sell." I didn't look out in the future and go, "Hey, my kids are going to take over, not take over." I did not have that, view of anything coming down. But what I did know is I want everybody that works there to be better.
That's right.
And I want them to be as good as I can make them. And then, you know what? Let's go get some help and make them better and get people outside of that, expose them to books and freaking motivational speakers and whoever. And let's just go get them to where they gather so much information that they become great on their own. And like I said, Jeff probably won't brag on himself, but Jeff went into a situation that at a point was in a ditch. And it had been kind of bad for about 5 or 6 months. And pulled that thing out of the ditch. And that's one of the things you're like, and then, Bubba has gone over to Baker Brothers. And it's a year anniversary, I guess, March 1st or whatever, of him running Baker Brothers. Man, they've done great, man. They're doing awesome and doing amazing. There were probably as many people or more. They had the Wrench Awards, and there were as many people up there on the stage as there ever had been. And so I want to say that if you've built something great, it's a legacy of something that will continue on, even if you're not involved anymore. Even if you separate yourself from it. If you want to know, had you done a good job at succession planning and mentoring and creating leaders, it's when you left, they didn't miss a lick. And they're doing great. And all the people there, everybody will go, oh, it's not the same. You're not here. I'm like, well, maybe not. I don't know.
Well, I'll say this. I definitely agree with that, and it's well said. And I appreciate your mentorship in my life for real. And to recap this thing, just for people succession planning, if it's a legacy situation, don't just gift it to them. Make them earn it. Make them go get a note, pay it up. If your succession plan includes people that aren't in your family, you got to develop these mentor relationships. You got to change your mindset and move from managing to mentoring. You got to identify these people by the content of their character, their ability to make decisions, their ability to be held accountable and own what they've done. You have to create clear pathways and transfer not just the knowledge base, but the relationships and the decision-making authority.
And the vision, you need to make your vision crystal clear of what you're trying to do in as few words as possible.
Yeah.
Like our simple thing, BHAG, was to be the best service company in the world. And we compared that to everything we did. And if you create this vision of what does that look like? It's great to say that little phrase, but what does that look like in your head? And if you get everyone to picture in their head them being the best service company in the world, what is that? I didn't say the biggest, I said the best. Like, what does that look like? And you start telling those stories and you start creating a vision for them. That's what the vision is. It's the story in your head that you can picture crystal clear. You get that vision to those guys. That's what it's all about. And to be honest, that's what this Kingdom Method thing's all about. I love it that guys that are long-term friends and guys that I've been around for a long time go, hey, we watched the podcast. Man, it's really awesome. Man, it's helping me out. But you know what I think what I love the most are the young entrepreneurial guys out there, the guys like in their, some of them in their 20s, some of them in their 30s that are listening to this because, look, I've been there, done that. We're all banged up, got the scars from it. Learn from us and take some shortcuts because that's what this is all about. It's about, man, take some shortcuts in this so that you can get better than I am faster, and I won't take a lick of credit, don't care to. But what I love, though, is these guys that are up and coming that are young and they're willing to listen to some old guys and go, hey, you know what, dude, man, those guys are speaking some truth because that's what this is. This is only out of our heart. It has nothing to do with us trying to get any advantage whatsoever on things. And I think that's important, because it's just there is so few times that you can actually get advice that doesn't come with a cost, that you can get someone that speaks into your business that isn't a vendor. I'm trying to sell you something. I'm trying to get, it's just pure, genuine authentic honesty. And that's what we got from places like when you went to like Nexstar and Certain Path. And there's a bunch of them out there that are these organizations that the owners get together from across the country and they share information. And, and they genuinely just all they want is that other guy across from them to be better and to teach them something that helps them along. And so that's what this is really all about, So I really, appreciate you, doing this and spending time doing this. But, we're really excited about what I hope is that from this podcast, like people learn, jobs get better. It affects families,
changes lives.
Yeah, it on the ground level, like that. Literally, the guy that is your technician, that somehow this podcast and the things that you learn here that you're able to share with him, and it improves his life and his family's life, and it brings joy to those people.
I think that's very well said, and I think leadership and its fundamental, just the basic core is who are you making better, right? And the thing that I would say is that whether it was, hey, even after we sold to the PE group, if that's your exit strategy, you still invested in the lives of your people, Jimmy, and we are now paying that forward with the people that we're investing in, and that legacy will live on. And so leadership is about making people better. Being a mentor is unselfish in nature. It's giving back to people, and as a mentee, don't take it for granted, right? It's a lifelong relationship, and I'm thankful for our friendship and the mentorship that you've given me, and I'm paying that forward too as well. And so, look, that wraps us up. What a great topic. I appreciate you guys joining us today. And until next time, we'll see you later.
Thanks.